Good morning, everybody, and welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing for Thursday, the 27th of March. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning, I think for the first time this week, Stevie Clifford joins us. How's it going, Stevie?
Fine, thank you, mate. I hope everybody is well. It is my oldest boy's birthday today, Derek. 9 years ago today, Duncan was born. So sent him off to school this morning with a smile on his face. He was rather, you know what kids are like with their birthday, so he was quite excited. So he'll get all his stuff later on. So yeah.
Brilliant. To be 9 again, Stevie.
Listen, it was a very difficult. He was very sick when he was born. He was born, I think, at 35, 36 weeks. So he was very premature. Wow. So he was in intensive care for a very long time and stuff like that. So yeah, 9 years ago. I always remember the day before, I think we played Queen of the South in the championship with Warburton. I think we won something like 5-2. And I always remember, because it was such a long labour and we were just in Paisley, I could easily went to that game, Derek, and been back in time, no bother. So that was a joke. That was a joke around the bed that day. So yeah, 9 years ago today. Amazing where time goes.
Yeah, quite incredible. Happy birthday, Duncan. I'm sure you'll have an absolutely fantastic day. And yeah, I'm trying to think back when I was 9. I can't remember much, to be honest. So yeah, we shall move on, because people are tuning in because they want to hear about Rangers. A few stories kicking around before we get stuck right in. Just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, S1 Jobs. If you're looking to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh, and the surrounding areas, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Right, where shall we start? We'll start with Václav Cerny, because a report came out yesterday suggesting that Rangers had an option to buy on the Czech winger. We did a bit of digging. Joshua released an article yesterday evening just on those reports, but we understand that there is no exclusive option to buy the Czech winger, although Rangers are interested in landing Václav on a permanent deal. I think we've discussed Cerny at great length, Stevie, on a number of videos before. I think if a deal can be struck, I think you'd struggle to find many that would say, nah, just send them back to Wolfsburg and be done with it.
As you said, we've done it today, haven't we?
Yeah.
If 5.5 million was realistic, absolutely would, wouldn't you? You would take that deal all day long. It's the kind of price we'd spoken about before. Joshua already kind of bottomed that out. It was well reported at the time, Derek, not only by people involved close to the deal, but also by the club. I think when he signed, the club said there was no option to buy him. So I'm not sure where this story has come from. I'm not sure whether or not it's just a punt in the dark or whatever, but Joshua's got that sewn up with regards to whether the truth in that. So I'm quite happy with that. I know how Joshua gets his stories and where he gets it from. So I think Niels Coppin even said on one of his interviews that there's no clause in that. So look, I'm quite happy with that. Would I love to sign him at $5.5 million? Absolutely. Let's hope the club do get something done with it. Let's hope we do get a deal done somehow, and then we can get that one over the line. So it would be a good start to what's going to be, in my opinion, a very busy summer, Derek.
It will be.
I'm not sure if I don't like using the term no-brainer, because you go and say these things are a no-brainer and then it doesn't work out, and people like to tell you how you said this, that.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a sensible deal based on what he's done this season. And I spoke about this a wee bit last night on my own podcast, that I would hope that his numbers, if they're not as big next season, it's because he's got other better players around him that are contributing as big numbers as well. So those numbers are being shared out a wee bit if he was to stay. So I would really love to see it. He's a player that I like. I've said it since the start. I like the look of him. I think he's got a good attitude. So yeah, Be wonderful if we could get a deal done.
Yep, but we've said before he won't be short of offers in the summer. I mean, his agent, speaking to Czech media recently, said, "I can't say what will happen next, but I don't think it's very realistic for him to stay at Rangers. His contract at Wolfsburg ends in the summer of 2027, so I would assume that the club will want to recall him, or there will be interested parties who would like to buy him. There is already interest from France and Italy. I know Vaclav's ambitions to return to one of the top 5 leagues in Europe." So that is what his agent had to say recently on that. Yeah, I think if Rangers can manage to get him permanently, then it would be a pretty good move. As Big Brian says, Cerny would be a brilliant addition for the club. I think he's had a great season, despite the team in the main having a pretty below standard, you shall say, and domestically at least. So yeah, one to keep an eye on with regards to that. The point come in from Iron Blue, just going back to young Duncan's birthday, says, when I was 9, Derek Parlene was our top goal scorer. Showing your age there, buddy. But yeah, when I was 9, Rangers were in the midst of the 9 in a row era as well. Oh, we would love to go back to that, but there you go, different times. Another report I've seen down south again. No real surprise really to see this report over in Leeds suggesting they've watched Nico Raskin. A few publications suggesting if they go up into the Premier League, they could be poised to make a large bid for Nico Raskin. He's another one. Don't expect him to be short of interest in the summer if he keeps going the way he is, Stevie. But again, as we touched on earlier on this week, we're reaching a crossroads with Nico Raskin with 2 years remaining on his deal in the summer. The club need to sit around the table with this lad and try and thrash out a new deal for me. What's your opinion on that one?
Like everything else, Derek, it's a bit long-winded. Just before we start, when I was 9, we were busy beating Leeds United, and John Lukic was punching things into his own net. So I think that actually happened just around my 9th birthday, actually. Somebody will tell me when we played Leeds at Ibrox in the first game, because
I think it would be around the November time, something like that.
Well, my birthday was the 27th of October, so I'm pretty sure that we had a party in that roundabout then, just in time for Big John to deliver the ultimate present, just like Butland did at Old Trafford, funnily enough. But right, anyway, what am I gibbering on about? Raskin, Nico Raskin, right? Okay. Here's the thing, Derek. Right, we talk about selling players at their absolute selling point and being able to, sell them when their value's at the absolute highest. Nico Raskin's now a Belgian international. He's a young player, up-and-coming star of Belgium football. I don't think that's unfair to say. He ran the game the other night when they came back to beat Ukraine 3-0. So I think that's fair to say it. I would not be even entertaining people unless it was 15 million upwards. And by that, I mean, I'm not accepting 15 million, but it would at least get me to the table to say, right, you've got a fair bit to go, and then we need to be add-ons and things and everything else before I even contemplate a deal. But if we're talking mega big money, which it should be, for Nico Raskin, then I've got to look at it, because with 2 years left, it's make or break for us. You either sign it, become our new captain, and lead us into this next bit, or you don't, and then we cash in when his value is highest. We cannot afford to let that go any further. We can't afford to go, well, we'll just look at it next summer.
Yeah.
We need to deal with this now. So that's my view on it. I would be looking for a lot for Nico Raskin to want to sell him. He's the type of midfielder that you crave in your team and you look for. So, and we've spent a long time looking for that busy, tough tackling midfielder, the guy that breaks everything up and plays it on. So, and he's also a threat at the other side, which we recently seen, which he started to add to his game as well. So, no, I'm very happy with Nico Raskin. Would love it, Derek, to sign a new deal and become captain and lead us into this new era, which hopefully we're going into. But if not, this is my point. If not, if that's a complete no, Nico Raskin isn't going to do that, then the summer's the time to cash in. 2 years, highest value point possible. That's what I would be looking at.
still just 24. So, I mean, he's still got, for me, developing years to come to reach his peak. And we're starting to see him flourish now in that Rangers midfield. You mentioned their tough tackling. I've never seen a midfielder break up so much play as Nico does. It really is a joy to watch. And he's been a real standout in that Rangers midfield this season. Lots of comments, as you would imagine, with regards to this. Connor with a point says, if we genuinely want to win something next season, we need to tie Raskin to a new deal. Win next season, can sell this summer after that. Can't be losing our best players after a trophyless season. Yep, but you fire in there.
On that, that's the point, though, isn't it? It's easy for us to say we want to tie him down. What happens if he doesn't want to stay? What happens if this is his point where he goes, I want to move on? This is a point where either tie him down on a new deal and get him signed up. And I agree with Connor, what you're saying. You want to keep him and lead him on to the next era. That's what I've said. I completely agree. If he doesn't want to sign that, Derek, and he says, no, I'm not, then this is his high value point this summer. And you have to then go, we'll look at offers and we'll look at bids. If he's willing to stay and sign a new deal, then you don't. That's absolutely fine. If he doesn't, with 2 years left, you have to sell in the summer. That's my point.
Yes, indeed. And someone mentioned earlier on in the week that he ran down his standard Liège contract, which is how Rangers were managed to get him on a cut price deal. You do not want that happening again. It's going to be an interesting few months. Neil McLean with the point, we only sell Raskin if the offer is outstanding. And also, if Raskin wants to go, we can't keep a player who wants out. Love this. James McLean says, they bought Engels for 11 million. Raskin is 10 times the player he is. So let's start the bidding at £100 million, please, to any potential suitors. There's a guy that's just turned up at my door with a package. That's how you can tell we are live, folks. I'll just drop it off at the door. So there you go. This point from Bluebells of Blue, down to Raskin, really, if he doesn't re-sign this summer and he's sold, I think we can get even more if we can keep him for another season. Yeah, absolutely. This point that you mentioned as well there, Stevie, about giving them the captaincy next term. He has had the armband at points this season, and the Old Firm game at Ibrox, of course, he led Rangers to that thumping win. Would you like to see a changing of the guard in the summer, do you reckon?
I was thinking more about probability in terms of, what it's going to bring. And it's going to be a big revolution of players in the summer, isn't there? Going to be a massive evolution in terms of turnover and what this club does. And I think that is fair. It maybe isn't unfair to think that we might be needing a new captain, might be looking at a new captain. So I think if you had asked many, a lot would have said that the time to do that would have been the last couple of summers. Well, I think in this summer, it might be one that we have to answer anyway. So if there was an opportunity or if there was a need for a new captain, then Nico Raskin would be up there in the selection-wise of people that is still left. I think maybe only John Souttar is the other potential candidate, I think. Would he make
that's another contract situation, Stevie?
I'm quite confident on John Souttar's contract. So I'm hopeful that that's going to be sorted out. If not, again, you're absolutely right. We spoke about that, didn't we, about the summer, and we're kind of stumbling on a position of centre halves where, I don't think Robin Proper will stay. Leon Balogun can't, continue to be first choice for sure. And then there's only John Souttar, and if he only had a year left, I'd be looking the same as you. So I'm hopeful John Souttar will stay. I really am. I'm hopeful that he will. And we'll just need to wait and see what happens with that one.
Yep. Comments coming in. Leeds have seen reportedly interest in Raskin. Aston Villa, another club, said to be keeping tabs on him as well. But foot up with
Derek, this is what we want. We want clubs looking.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We want clubs,
But it means he's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely is. And if these clubs are looking, Premiership tax and everything else, you're looking at a lot of money. As I said, I wouldn't even return a phone call for anything less than 15 million. And when it did come in for 15 million, I would be saying, we're now in the region of a discussion, but you've got a long way to go. So there's plenty more to be done on this, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. Another interesting point, and we sort of touched on this the other day. I think when I was on with Chris. In fact, it wasn't. I was just on with Chris last night, of course, when he was hot-footing it down to meet the royal family. But Headkeeper says, any news on Kasanwirjo? Got to say, I was a bit. I did like to see him amongst the celebrations at Ibrox the other night there, Stevie, when Rangers defeated Fenerbahce on penalties. He's obviously come back. Could he be close to a return if he's back in amongst the squad?
Honestly, don't know. I found it peculiar that they were talking about him going back, and the question was kind of never really answered, wasn't it, of where he was and what's happened with him. I don't know, Derek. Look, I think he's a really good player. I like him. I think he's a strong player. I like the look of him, but he's had like serious injuries now.
I know.
He's had 2 or 3 of them. And surely at some point we should be learning our lessons and saying, maybe we shouldn't be taking these unnecessary risks again. As I said, he's a good player. Would you like to keep him? Absolutely would like to keep him. I think that's fair, but then you've got to think about the circumstances behind his injuries, and should we go down that route again? That's where it becomes a bit murky for me. So I would love to see him get some game time for the end of the season and kind of prove that this was just a bump in the road for him, but it's another big injury, and I'm just a bit wary because we have been caught. Imagine getting him signed up and then something happens and he's out for another year and stuff like that. We've got to be sure of what we're spending. I think though that it was about 2.5 million rumored to be the agreed price. So it's a good price because I did like the look of him and I did think he was a player, but that injury thing scares me. That puts me on edge.
But I'll tell you what, he's been out with a knee injury, of course. He has suffered 2 knee injuries prior to the one this season, but they came back. I mean, the first one was the 18-19 season. He was injured at the start of October, came back at the beginning of the next year in January 2019, and he suffered another knee injury August 2019. He came back November 2019. So it's not necessarily like full-blown out for a season jobs, but his last knee injury was, of course, 2019. So you're looking back, almost 6 years in effect. So I'm like you, when you suffered that injury playing for the Netherlands, I was like, no, here we go again. You don't want Rangers committing money to a guy that's out long term, but listen, they'll be having a look at him. I was surprised to see him part of the squad again. I thought I was just ruling him out for the end till the end of the season, but the fact he's in and around the squad suggests to me that he wants to be part of the team and he could be close perhaps to a return. We may get an update. Barry's not really went in on detail about injuries and who's available for matches, so I'm not too sure if we'll get a proper update on in the ratio today. But certainly from what I seen, Stevie, I was pretty impressed with him prior to that injury. I think if we're looking at a certain profile for Rangers, that physicality in defence that they have missed domestically, I think he would probably fit the bill for me. That would tick a box because I think Rangers do need reinforcements in the back line in the summer. You mentioned there Balogun. I would maybe be slightly tempted to give him an extra year, but I would not be sort of hanging my hat on him to play many matches. Sousa, if they can get that deal thrashed out, then great. You've got Clinton Enciala there. I'd imagine Robin Proper would be moving on. Ben Davis will be moving on. I think there's still a place for one, if not 2 centre-backs there.
Yeah, absolutely. Need 2 centre-backs. Need pace, Derek.
Yeah.
Need pace in that back line. So I think there's big question. I think we need a left back. I think we need a centre-back. Also think we need a right back. So it was funny. One of the questions today on the Q&A that I'm doing is what do you see as priority positions in the summer? All 11, perhaps. But there's I think there's work to be done. There's work to be done everywhere. So it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one with regards to what's your priority positions. But I'm with you. They need to find a Philip Hollander who is fit and well and that kind of left-sided. If you can find that, then you're on to a winner. They need somebody else that can challenge John Souttar. Then you can nurture Clinton and Ciala. You can see who else is there. Do you keep Balogun on? All these are variables, I think, is a good word, in terms of what can happen in the summer. But there's a lot of work to be done throughout that squad completely, and I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah. Just a big shout out to Paul from the Battle Fever podcast. Morning, Paul. He says just on Raskin. He says, great stream as always. Have to agree with Steve. If Raskin decides he wants to move on and not sign an extension, we need to let him go, maximise the profit we can get. Good to have you tuning in, Paul. Just on Kasanwirjo as well. Jack Murphy says if the amount they'd want for Kasanwirjo, I'd be signing them next season. I've personally seen enough. This is an interesting point. Andy says he's injury prone. What's the deal with the loan deal for the defender from Portugal? This is Rafa Fernandes, a forgotten man, if you like. He's not had a look in since the new management team has been at the helm. Bit of a strange signing on the face of it. Stevie, he's not part of the European squad. Clement did say that he hasn't played for almost 12 months. So he'd be using the remainder of the season to have a look at him to decide if he will form part of the squad next season. Rangers have an option to buy on him. Hasn't played a game for Lille since they signed him from Portuguese football. Can't even really make an assessment on him. We haven't seen enough of him, have we?
No, not in the slightest. So, don't really know what else you can say on that one, isn't it?
No. Bit of a strange signing.
Yeah, well,
I think they needed a centre back. It was just they've obviously brought him in. I don't think they were linked with a number of centre backs, but they've brought this lad in, nowhere near ready to play first team football. So it just seems a bit strange.
I don't want to start using words like punt and projects and stuff like that, but I think they've clearly signed him to have an eye on him elsewhere. It doesn't really speak much for those that we had there already in terms of younger ones and the likes of Leon King, etc. But listen, what can you say? We haven't seen him. We can't judge him. And we'll just need to wait and see if he gets game time for the rest of the season, won't we? So I think there's a potential for this squad to be mixed up quite a bit in the coming weeks. Once, Balbeo comes around, I don't think we should be taking any chances with people that's playing. 18 points, I think we are clear of third. So realistically, I think we're fine there. We're not going to catch first. So would I be resting John Souttar, etc., before we go to Balbeo and before they come here, etc.?
Audrey, you certainly
100% I would be. So I think we might see changes coming up. I'd like to see, Danilo get game time, etc. Would we really want to be risking these players like Cerny and all that going up there? I'm not sure we would. So Rafa Fernandes might still get game time. We'll just need to wait and see.
Yeah. Could have Hoggy tuning in. He says proper football is almost back. Thank any of the gods we might look to on centre backs. Good ones might be nice. I'm not a fan of the international breaks. I've said it before. Bring us club football, unless there's big international tournaments on, of course, World Cups in Euros, and I'm not really interested, to be honest with you. But all I'm interested in is that the players that have represented their countries coming back in one piece, and it looks like, touchwood, that has been the case. We'll get an update, as we mentioned earlier on, when the press conference takes place. Adam asks, when is the press conference? We'll hear from Barry around about 1:30 this afternoon at the training centre. It has been brought forward a day ahead of the game on Saturday evening against Dundee. You heading along today, Stevie?
I am not, Derek. I'm working today. So I'm doing this. I'm going to record with Chris and then more or less get ready and go off to work. A very long shift today. So, yes. No press conference for me today. I'm not going on Saturday night either. I'm working on Saturday night. So, I'll get home to see it in time, but no, I won't be in Dundee on Saturday either.
Yeah. You and Chris, as you mentioned, they're recording your latest episode of The Talking Point. What's on the agenda this week, Stevie?
Chris next to get his MBE. I think that's what we're talking about. No, I think it's Banners, Ferguson, and just bits and pieces. I think there's a wee bit of a mixed kind of lineup this one. So out of the weekend, I believe, time for Saturday's match.
Yeah.
So if you're doing the journey, you might be able to see it. I'm doing a written Q&A as well.
Yes.
Got some good questions in yesterday from people. So there's 5 or 6 there that I'm going to get my teeth into. So there's an interesting question as well, Derek, about the hill that I would die on with regards to Rangers and stuff like that. And I'm not sure. I was thinking about this. I've had some weird, like, everybody has it, at the pub or in the cafe or whatever it is you're talking to your mates or at work or whatever, when they've got an opinion that's completely different to yours. I think that's normal. I'm not sure that I've had a hill that I would die on as such. And I was thinking about it, and the only one I can really think of that I had a massive disagreement with people about was when Kloss was injured under McLeish and Vaterus came in, and there was a big question of who should start the following season, and I said it should be Ronnie that started because Stefan Kloss was injured and coming back, and we should take our time, and Ronnie was the one that had the jersey and stuff like that, and McLeish did. So I'm not sure if that's a kind of hill to die on or just an opinion or that, but I don't know. I'm quite flexible. Like, I might have an opinion, but if it turns out to be wrong, the more evidence that comes along, I'm quite happy to say, I'm okay with it. I will never, ever admit that Scott Wright wasn't the best right-sided Scottish winger that we've ever seen at Ibrox, but apart from that, what do I talk about? But it's an interesting one. It's good for opinions, that's for sure.
Very much so. Just trying to think what mine would be. Probably just one that just pops into the head. I mean, Van Vossen's always considered a flop at Rangers because of that miss at Parkhead, but he actually did okay when he was at Rangers, and then when he left Rangers, he went on and done really well at Feyenoord. He was a top player, Dutch internationalist, but that miss has just haunted him for his days at Ibrox. But look at the goal at Rugby Park he scored. That's world class.
Actually, you're right. See, that season, up until that moment, he was on fire.
Yeah.
He had started really, really well. I think I seem to remember a couple at Dunfermline in a 5-2 win.
Yeah.
And like you said, that Rugby Park one where he bent in almost outside in from that angle. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I used to like him and Derek Bo Anderson.
Oh, I love Derek Bo. Yeah.
They were strangely brilliant in Champman as well. So yeah. It's an interesting one. There'll be a few good comments, that's for sure, in the Q&A, and it's nice to do something different and be able to answer people and see what they think. So yeah, Van Boston's an interesting discussion.
Yeah,
it was a hell of a bobble, though, wasn't it?
What's that?
It was a hell of a bobble for him, wasn't it?
It certainly did. But what a weird game that was, by the way. One of the greatest Old Firm games of all time. It had it all. But I urge you, if you've never seen it, what some of our younger viewers, if you haven't seen it, go and give it a watch on YouTube. Chaparuni, an interesting one. What about Flo? He did well, but seen as a flop. I think that the price tag went against him. He did score, contributed. If he was a free transfer, or even if Rangers paid £3-4 million for him, I think he'd be looked at more favourably than what he was. Yeah, Rangers were linked with so many top players back then. I think David Murray at the time was just hell-bent on signing a real marquee player at the time and spending an awful lot of money on someone, and then Tor Andrew Flo came up. And yeah, he came up the road, scoring his debut, of course, in that 5-1 win against Celtic, and certainly did contribute. But yeah, £12 million. You think £12 million now, it's probably a bargain for what you're getting players these days. But at the time, it was considered a lot of money. Still the record transfer in Scotland, isn't it? Nobody has exceeded that since. Do you think we'll see that broken at any point by Rangers in the future, Stevie?
I think it'll be broken at some point, yeah. I think Celtic were close last summer, so they'd probably have their eye on that. And I think there's a potential that we might move into different realms of transfers as well. Maybe not straight away, but coming in the coming years, I'd like to think it's a possibility. But we need to wait and see. I'm talking about takeovers and all sorts of stuff, and when we're called something different at Ibrox instead of it being Ibrox, and we're getting all sorts of money in for that. You never know what might happen, Derek. But yeah, would it be nice to be broken if it's the right player? Absolutely.
Yeah. Love this. Lots of players' names coming in. So Scott Girvin says Stefan Givars, extremely underwhelming. Remember him? Scored 2 on his debut when Rangers rattled 7 past St Johnstone. Yet it's got a beauty, a lob goal as well. You're thinking, oh, this guy's the real deal. I think he sells swimming pools, if I'm not mistaken, now over in France. It's incredible to think that he was part of that World Cup winning French team, and not just a sort of unused squad player. He was playing up front for them for a number of the match. I think he played in the final as well, didn't he, if I'm not mistaken? Maybe wrong there, but I think he went to Newcastle, was a bit of a disaster. Rangers got him a few months later. Probably the less said about Stefan Givars, the better.
I just think he couldn't be arsed, could he? Like, wherever he played, he just couldn't be bothered. Like, I think by the time he got to Rangers, he was just kind of like, I've won the World Cup and I don't care. So, like, he didn't last long at all, did he? So he just didn't look like he ever wanted to be here at all. So I don't remember him doing much apart from those goals. I don't remember him doing much at all. So
nah. Largely forgettable time at Rangers. And we'll finish up with this. Darren Nelson. This is a lad that I was absolutely distraught when he hurt his knee. I think he's on his debut as well, where he scored against St Johnstone. Sebastian Rosenthal. I watched him at Bathgate Thistles Ground, more at Bathgate's Thistle Ground than at Ibrox. We're talking about injuries earlier. Kasanwirjo, Rosenthal, hugely unfortunate with that knee injury that sort of pretty much killed any hopes he had of having a real successful career at Ibrox. He did come back, of course, and played a bit part under Dick Advocat, but I remember when Rangers were chasing this boy. I mean, you never had as much footage of football as you do nowadays. Stevie was just seeing grainy images of him scoring over in Chile, and you're thinking, wow, Rangers are buying a South American player here. He comes over with the hairdo and everything. You're thinking, this is class, this. And then injures himself on his debut. What's your memories of Sebastian Rosenthal?
I stretched for a ball or something against St Johnstone after 2 minutes, didn't he? Played on, made it worse, and then we never seen him again, or more or less. I remember when we were after him, he was supposed to be the new Marcelo Salas. Do you remember him? And that's what everybody was going on about. I remember all the headlines and how this boy was coming across. And it was one of those ones where you needed to wait about 8 months to get a visa and all that kind of stuff as well. Back then, a work permit and a visa. So, it's not quite
red tape.
That's right. It wasn't quite the Mario Jardel saga. But, I remember all the fanfare. And then, of course, he got injured almost straight away. I did like his little kind of renaissance under Advocat when he scored. I remember he scored, I think we hammered Dundee, possibly like 7-1 at Danes or something, and he got a couple that night as well.
Final, he scored, I think, against Ayr United as well, didn't he? I think he scored the semi-final, something like that.
I cannot remember. The semi-final, when it was 7-0, the game that Kanchelskis
scored in the ball.
Stood in the ball, but I quite liked it. He had a wee kind of cameo, and he had a big fat bum and belly and all that. I thought to myself, see, at my age, I thought there's still hope for you yet, Stevie. Like, but it was a shame how it worked out for him. That's for sure. Wonder what he's doing. Wonder if he's selling swimming pools wherever he is.
Yeah, I do wonder what he's up to. I think he's an agent. That last I heard. Duncan Smith says when you mentioned Jardel, Karen Jardel, loyal. Bears of a certain vintage will know exactly what Duncan means there. He was another top-class player. That's another one that absolutely gutted. Rangers never managed to get that one over the line because he was a goal-scoring machine.
Scored a peach against us for Galatasaray. Out there, a volley.
Yeah, he was sensational. Right, that will wrap up there. Good wee show this morning. Big thank you to Stevie. That Q&A on the website, Stevie, is that out tomorrow or today at some point?
Tomorrow, I believe. So tomorrow I need to get that done and sent over to Joshua. And talking points should be out Saturday, I think.
Excellent.
I don't know. I just turn up. I just do something. I mean, half of the time I don't even get told I'm on. Never mind anything else. So.
Well, ever the professional, Stevie. So, yeah, thanks for turning up this morning and joining us in what has been a very enjoyable show. Thank you to you all for tuning in. As ever, it's much appreciated. As we touched on, it is press conference day, so we'll have you covered later on this afternoon, folks. I think Joshua is heading along to the training centre for us to hear from Barry. Right, we'll speak to you later on. Until then, well, enjoy the rest of your Thursday morning. Bye for now.